Without further ado, we are into a RAGL game. The last decisive RAGL game of the Masters this season, of the Masters group stage, I should say, between Five Aces and Orb. And I didn't have enough time to prepare everything. So what? We are just jumping straight into the action here. And the first game of this best of two series is between Orb playing as usual as Russia, and Five Faces playing as Russia as well. I think he is random. Yep. And Orb supposedly picked Russia, so it's a Russian mirror on Snakes and Ladders map. And as it's Snakes and Ladders, we are to see the early action, just because small distances between spawns and small map all the way. Oh wow, that's too loud. And I think the dog that Five Faces has built has paid off somewhat. I don't know about yep. No, Five Faces didn't manage to snipe the engineer. Orb didn't do that either. But Five Faces got a slightly better disposition here. And Orb is completely missing production right now. So he's 20 seconds slower on production here with his War Factory. I think he'll need to complement that probably with some additional rifles, and probably needs another engineer again, just because he lost his previous one, but that might be risky because Five Faces will soon be building an APC, and early game micro by Five Faces is very painful. As I have noticed for myself in my games against Five Faces. So let's see how it goes. Probably no. Orb is building an APC. Also, I think he should have gone for a straight ore truck build up instead of an APC, just to get back into trucks and have one more ore truck, or at least the same count of ore trucks as Five Faces, due to his 20 seconds late War Factory. Okay, there are 3 rocket soldiers. Probably getting one ore truck here. Yes, what about second ore truck? No, I don't think that's viable, but still some crashes. Yeah, that's gonna hurt Orb even more. He has somewhat a substantial army right now. Probably... no, still not having assets. Yeah, and his MCV will also be delayed by 20 seconds now. just because he's quite delayed on ore trucks. Right, because he had one ore truck less and the other one he lost to rocket soldiers, so the only thing that helps Orb right now is that he has 2 more Oreo derricks because 5S didn't capture his bottom one. And will he destroy that ore truck? Please? Oh, that was a huge loss again by Orb. And assets wise, he's losing 8k. That's too much, especially on this map. And he's going in the wrong direction with his MCV, going in straight into a Tesla coil, unguarded, and that MCV will definitely go down here. Definitely. I don't think there is even an option for Orb right now. I suppose that was just an all-in by Orb, being bold with second war factory and probably massing the heavy tank production. But now with his MCV gone, that's just out of the window. And this first point, I suppose, is taken by 5 aces right now. But we'll see. I don't know. I think we won't see anything else in this game. Orb can probably delay it a bit further, just to annoy 5 aces, but you know what? 5 aces is the king of long games, so I would assume he's not at all bothered with games spanning 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and a half. That's for 5 aces. Usually that's always just the same. He has the same insane micro through the whole game. Orb managed to build a second MCV here. But now 5 aces also has superiority in heavy tanks. Yeah, Norb only has his infantry here. And also out of money, losing ore trucks here. So, yeah, it was GG 2 minutes ago, and it is still GG now. I guess Orb just got on slightly out of form, or probably without practice. Or something interfered with his early game. And just that. That didn't look exactly good for Orb in this game. Yeah, I don't think anything of that really mattered, because the thing that mattered was 20 seconds late War Factory. Definitely.
Battle control terminated.
Right, so I hope we have still several seconds so that I can show you the tables. Depending on whether I have it anywhere. Now the second game is Orb and Five Faces in Russia again, this time on Forgotten Plains. And regarding the tables, I need the tables, please. Alright, it will be something like that. So the tables. Quite surprisingly, Anju managed to win against Eskimo, and also got some good results against ZX Ganon and Yunano. So he managed to rack up the fourth place, the virtual fourth place, and the spot in Masters playoffs. So this can go three-way. If Orb wins, well, now it's not exactly his position here. If Orb wins this game, then it's 1-1. Five Faces gets 12 points, the same as Anju, and they are fighting tiebreaker for the fourth last spot in Masters playoffs. If Anju wins, oh wait, Anju. If Five Faces wins the second game, then he's promoted to the fourth spot directly, getting ahead of Anju. And that will mean that he is to play in Masters playoffs. And yeah, I was talking about the third option. The third option is not available now. It was Orb winning both games and being able to confront Barf for the first place, which would have meant he played against Anju in the semifinals. So, saying all that, let's get back to the game. The game started with, I suppose, usual Five Faces refinery into War Factory. I'm guessing by the infantry count, Orb went 2 refineries. And now Five Faces is chipping away, rifle by rifle, already amassing a whopping 1,100 of money, which is probably getting another engineer as well. No, Orb still has an engineer, so that's probably 11 rifles destroyed by Five Faces, which is quite a lot, because I don't think you can sustain that much army. early on. But doesn't seem likely that Orb is that behind in eco, so I guess it was built a bit later when he already had production. So again, Orb getting a small advantage in oils, now 2-1. Oh no, that was a throw and a half by 5 aces here. Norb straight equalizing and getting ahead on destroyed count. Yeah, that tree, that Angie tree from Fallout map, if you know what I mean. So getting their first expansions out. 5 aces is slightly ahead in that. And also faster on his refinery as well. Also popping out a Tesla coil. And having prepared the second one already. It seems like quite a small production for now by both players. Maybe I'm mistaken, but by 6 minutes it's only... Oh, it's okay in assets, I guess. And not the position that Orb wants to be in. Attacking into a fortified infantry blob with heavy tanks and Tesla. And now he's not having enough rocket soldiers here to destroy those heavy tanks. And that lone rifle is a lifeline for 5 aces, whether he noticed that or not. I hope he did, because if he didn't, then his ore trucks are up for rude awakening here. Orb is doing a nice attack on 5 aces base here, and it doesn't look exactly nice for 5 aces, because he is up to lose the whole base here, or at least a war factory. Or maybe not, because that flame tower got a lot of value here, destroying almost the whole infantry blob. But still, I think he got one ore truck. Well, and that was only a power plant, so not exactly that successful as I thought it would be. And now 5 aces is on a rebound. Probably going... Well, Orp is building a Tesla coil, which is not the best choice against that much of an infantry, but it's placed okay, and 5 aces won't be able to catch it. And I think Orp is getting a good advantage here in this confrontation. He managed to destroy all the tank force and half of the infantry army. Orp is also better at building his airfield, and his Yak is also faster. Both are building V2s now. They're quite mirroring each other, I should say. And Violent Red, this music is compiled playlist of various in-game music such as StarCraft, Quake, Doom, Messiah, Carmageddon, Painkiller, and so on. If you want to know the exact names, I can post that later somewhere for you. And Eskimo, the first pick was Snakes and Ladders, won by Five Faces, pretty much without any fight, just because Orb had a problem with his War Factory production, being 20 seconds late on War Factory. So back again into the game. I think Five Faces again lost a lot of assets here. And it's starting to look grim for him, as he is now probably to lose his center base to this force, because there are two V2 rockets, or V2 rocket launchers as they were corrected. That's an interesting placement for a construction yard here. Wow, how could Kiev find a spot here to place a refinery even? I don't know. Yeah, well, that will probably not matter. Just because Five Faces is not able to build up any substantial army composition. Oh, what's Orb doing here? What's Orb? I don't know what he's doing, because that doesn't look like a good play to me. He should have pressed more and destroyed this base. Even though Five Faces is on the defensive, he just didn't have any assets. And now these V2s are dangerously close to those tanks. It looks like Orb has given Five Faces another chance here. Probably playing overly defensive after his first game. And now Orb rotated to the bottom and is destroying this whole base at the bottom from Five Faces. That's two ore tracks, MCV and a refinery, which actually was the whole eco situation for Five Faces. Ouch, that was a nice V2 hit. FS is doing a orb flank here with 2 heavy tanks, but not going into war trucks, rather deciding to destroy and loader. And again, orb is taken up without pushing in, and is allowing 5 aces to rotate to the top and get his eco back, which I am not again thinking is a good choice here. At least Orb should have deleted his whole main base from 5 aces together with the service depot, but instead he's just building up assets. Those tanks managed actually to destroy a single ore truck, and now 5 aces knows about the tier 3 and probably knows that his opponent already has, or at least suspects his opponent to have an Iron Curtain, but doesn't know how many seconds does it have to take to 0. And now scouting the whole army from Orb. At least Orb's Mammon tank is placed somewhat effective, but is getting away. Still, Orb had a lot of assets advantage, and that wasn't going to be leveled in that engagement. So that was more or less probably an even trade, which means that Orb has even more assets advantage now. And it doesn't certainly look good for 5 aces. Well, it didn't for a good 7 minutes already, but now it looks like GG. Especially that 5 aces is quite late on Iron Curtain. It probably doesn't have resources for any shock troops and doesn't need those either, because he needs to deal with those Tesla tanks instead, and that means he needs probably a lot of Tesla coils or heavy tanks, and also V2s against this infantry. Yeah, it's GG, and it's quite another game from the first. Yeah, that means that 5 aces and Enju are tied to the first, to the 4th place. I will show you the table just in a second. Here it is. You can see that stats between Enju and 5 aces are dead even, and also Enju and 5 aces played 1-1, if I remembered correctly, which means they have to play. Yep, they have to play best of 1 rematch which will decide who goes into the fourth place and who just live to be fifth. Probably I think we will need to extend RAGL for one more week. Instead, I was planning it to be 2 weeks, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Because currently we need to have a best of one rematch between 5S's and Andrew somewhere. And then we need to also host semifinals and finals during this week and the next week. We'll see. Hopefully we are to see some high tier RAGL action at the end of this week. So stay tuned and check the Discord events channel and probably the feed also and the Twitch YouTube channel for announcements on live RAGL games. Also should not forget about Minions games as well, because it is the last week for Minions group stage, which doesn't have playoffs right now, so this will be the last games for Minions this season.